So I had a little downtime and I thought I'd take on another little shop project while I'm waiting on my siding. I ordered samples to get the right colors for my siding, so still waiting on that. I decided to take this pile of what looks like garbage. Some of it is, but that's all extra stone that was left over from when they did my house. You see over there. So they left me a lot of extra stone. So I was kind of on the fence about using it on the building, but I started the front side and I think it's going to turn out pretty good. I mean, it's definitely not perfect. I mean, a professional stone mason or mason would do a much better job, but so far I've got like 60 bucks in it, and that's for the mortar. Everything else, you know, didn't cost me a dime. Stuff that's already been paid for. So I went ahead and did all the front, and so now I'm working on the sides over here. It's going up pretty easily. I'm you know, you got to get a feel for getting the mud consistency or the mortar consistency correct. Once it gets dried up, it doesn't want to stick too well. So what I've learned is I'm using 60 pound bags of type S mortar. Here, I'll show you. So I'm using type X or type S mortar stucco mix and 60 pound bags. So what I've learned is, since I'm not very fast at doing this, I've learned that mixing only half a bag at a time works out best for me, because the first time I did it, I mixed up a whole bag, and when I got through about half of it, it started drying up, and I had a little bit of water to get me by. But it was really much harder to put on instead, you know, when it was wet. So I think the last couple rounds I did just a half bags at a time, and that's worked out a lot better for me. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm only going down so far. That's going to be the grade right there. You can see the fridge drain. I still got to put an extension on that and send it on down the hill. But that's going to be pretty much where the grade is. So I'm only going down that far. And then, so now I'm going to work on this side up here and see if I can get that one done. That'll probably do. So I'm just pulling stones from different boxes to get different colors. You can see some reds and sort of brown. There's some gray in here somewhere, some gray. And there are different shapes and sizes too. And I put a ledger board up just to kind of help hold up the bottom row. It's not fastened to the wall or anything. I just got some stones holding it up. Just kind of keep it stiff for a little bit for the stones to set up, give stones time to set up. And up here, as I move forward, I'll just let the ledger board lay on the grade and just kind of lay the stone according to the grade. Sort of just trial and error. Figure out what fits, what works, what doesn't. And so I have a bucket here with water that I use just to wetten the stone. I think it helps the mortar bond to the stone a little easier, and it won't suck the moisture out of the mortar too quickly if you make everything wet. That's the reason I wetten down the wall and I wet down the stone. This might be a little too wet. Still. Find out in a minute. I think it might be a little too wet. Just sort of blend it in and make it sort of shake it in, let the mortar bond with the wall, and it'll hold it up. And before long, it'll be set. Let's see. I found that when the mortar's wet, it sticks a whole lot better. After it starts to dry up, it really doesn't want to stick to the wall at all, and it would just fall back off. As a matter of fact, I got a piece over here that did fall off. So I can catch this one in time. There we go. Perfect. Hopefully that'll stay this time. Just knocking some of those flanges off. Now, I didn't pull any level lines or anything. I'm just kind of going by the joints in the courses of the block to keep everything, you know, fairly level. Well, I forgot to water it, didn't I? There we go. There. Then after all this sets up, I'll go back and mix another batch of mortar really thin, put it in a grout bag and grout all the joints. Yeah, I can see, you know, some of these joints that sometimes I don't pay enough attention, to be honest with you, and I end up stacking the joints. In other words, have one joint on top of the next. I really want to stagger them. And most of the time I do, but sometimes I forget, and I'm not going to pull that back off to redo it. It'll be fine. It's probably going to be dirt up against that anyway. This is hard on your knees and your back. I would not want to do this full time. I need my water closer. Now sometimes on these larger block, once I get the mortar on there, just sort of notch out a little divot in the middle, and that kind of adds or creates a little suction when you put the rock up against the wall and stuff. Just helps hold it in place. Yeah, I forgot to wet it. Definitely no pro. And here again, I got the joint stacked. I really need to watch that better. I really want to try to avoid that. And I know dirt's going to cover a lot of this, so I'm not all that concerned. If I get up high, I won't allow that. So sometimes you got to cut them a little bit to make them work. So I'm just using a grinder with a 4-inch diamond blade, no glasses. So I just used the blade and then I roughed up the edge to make it look a little more natural. So that'll work just fine. It's a slow process for somebody like me, that's for sure. I have knee pads somewhere. Nope. See here, see that how that joint would be stacked? See, I want to try to avoid that. So now I'll find a shorter piece. That'll work. That on top. Let's see what we got here. And that probably will work. There we go, I like that one better. And honestly, I really don't know how much more I should be putting on here. I'm just trying to put enough on here to make it stick. And that's my system. And so far, so good. See, I like this red. I really like how the red pops with these browns and grays. Sometimes I can tell I put too much on. It'll work. Let's see. Nope, I didn't want to do that. That'll work. I'd like to mix that color up though. Let me go get some other colors and put my knee pads on. Before I get too far ahead, I need to feel that one. Where these need to cut. that works. All right, we'll go with that. Oh, blue in there. See, some of these big ones, these with the reds and the blues, they're so nice. I hate to bury them down at the bottom. They look so good. I know if the mortar was done right, then you could put the bigger ones anywhere because they'll stick right if you do it right, but I'm probably not doing it right. Yeah, I think that's been my biggest problem, is getting the mortar consistency well enough to where the stones stick. If it's too dry, then they just fall back off. So when they got a little bit of water to them, then it creates some suction and it just holds a lot better. So that's what I've had to figure out. If I can do it, anybody can do it. I mean, you could put a level on these, torpedo level or something, to make sure they're all fairly level, but these are just a little bit off, you know. And honestly, I kind of like it. To me, I think it gives it a pretty natural look. So I think it pays to be not that good at it, because I think it's working out the way I like it. Even better, I think it just looks more natural when they're not so perfectly straight and level. Like on my house, they're really nice and level, and it looks good, but it's very uniform and looks just a little less natural. I don't know. We'll see what this looks like after I get the mortar joints done, but I really like the way this is turning out. That's the hard part, is, you know, some of these are wider than others, so sometimes they're really hard to line up, you know, and so then you end up having to cut, you know, smaller pieces and stuff. I've tried to really do without having to put a lot of filler blocks in there, filler stones, and for the most part I've done pretty good with that. But sometimes you just got to go back in there and bust up some little stones to make little filler stones, just to fill in these little spaces, little odd spaces. I love this color of stone too. It's called Shadow Ledgestone Chardonnay is the color. PlyGem, P-L-Y-G-E-M, PlyGem. Shadow Ledgestone, and the color is Chardonnay. So I really like the color. I debated on whether or not to do a capstone all the way around it. On my house, there's a nice capstone, you know, just a flat stone that goes all the way around the top of these. But I think I'm just gonna bend my flashing over, and just bend the flashing over top of it. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I debated on putting that ledger stone down, but I don't know. I think I'm probably just gonna flash it. I think that'll be fine. I think it'll look good. Try it and see. It's all I can do. Oh. Now I did try putting mud on the wall, and then also back buttering the stones, but I was having a hard time making it stick, and it was just making a mess. So I just went ahead and went with just back buttering the stones and then putting them up there, and that's been working. So I mean, I'm sure it would probably have a better bond if I put mortar on the wall, scratched it, and then put back buttered stone and stuck that to it. But this is working, so I'm just going to do what works for me. All right, well, that's a wrap for this side, pretty much. I still have to mortar the joints, but I'm gonna let this set up for a little while. So you can see it got a little narrow up here, but that's gonna be where the grade is gonna go. It's gonna be built up a little bit from there. So all of that's gonna be, probably most of that's probably end up gonna be underground anyway, but I wanted to at least get a few rows in there just in case. But I think it's gonna turn out pretty nice. It'll match the house, which that's what we're after. We want it to look like it belongs here. Here's the front. I know it's not perfect. There's gonna be a lot of stacked joints and some crooked stone and this and that, but I think it will look good when it's all said and done. I can barely stand up. My back's killing me. I still need to do this side. I was debating whether or not I even want to do it. This wouldn't be but like a row, but I guess I do need to, so I'll probably do that either tomorrow or this weekend. I left out a little area, you know, right there where the trim's gonna go. I did that on beside each door. So there's actually gonna be another jack that goes up against that stud there. So in the end, that'll be 5.5 inches away from the edge of the studs. So we got 5.5 inches of space beside every door, and that way I can put a 1x6 trim up beside each door. So that's my plan, to trim that out with 1x6 up the sides, and maybe a 1x8 on top, at least for the garage doors. I'm not sure yet, but at the minimum it'll be 1x6s all the way around. So that's gonna be it for the stonework. I may do another video when I do the grouting part. But yeah, so that's it for putting the stone up anyway. I'll do this other side. I won't video that. Maybe I'll show you after it's all done. But anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care.